Stop grinding, start leading. Why Black women must reclaim sovereignty to shatter the concrete ceiling. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by telling you about someone who's changing everything. Her name is Chari Moorehead, and she is a force. Chari is a visionary leader who has dedicated her life to reshaping how we think about leadership, power, and what it truly means to thrive as a Black woman in a world that was never designed for our success. She's not just teaching women how to survive in broken systems, she's teaching them how to break free from those systems entirely. She's showing Black women how to lead from a place of internal authority, nervous system regulation, and unapologetic self prioritization. Her work is revolutionary. Her insights have transformed countless lives. And today I want to share what I've learned from her with you because what she's teaching us isn't just important, it's urgent, it's life changing, and it's long overdue. So let me ask you something. How many of you have been told that if you just work harder, push a little more, lean in a little further, you'll finally break through that glass ceiling? How many of you have believed it? How many of you have tried it? And how many of you are exhausted? Here's the truth Cherry Moorhead shared with me, and it's a truth that will shake you to your core. The barrier Black women face isn't just a glass ceiling, it's a concrete ceiling. And it's reinforced by intersectional biases so deeply embedded in our systems that no amount of hustle, no amount of grinding, no amount of leaning in will ever be enough to break through it. Ever. Let me give you the numbers because the numbers don't lie. For every 100 men promoted to manager, only 54 Black women receive that same promotion. 54, not 99, not 80, 54. That's not a gap, that's a chasm. That's a mathematical impossibility for parity. And it doesn't get better as you climb higher. In the C suite, Black women hold just 28% of leadership roles. On corporate boards, 32%. The system isn't just biased, it's rigged, and it's rigged from the very first rung of the ladder. But here's where it gets even more devastating, even more heartbreaking. 6 in 10 senior women, women who have made it to the top, report feeling burned out, not tired, not stressed, burned out, because they've been taught that the only way to succeed is to push harder, work longer, sacrifice more. And when that doesn't work, when the promotions don't come, when the recognition doesn't arrive, when the seat at the table is still not theirs, they blame themselves. They think they didn't do enough. They think they weren't good enough. And they keep grinding, keep pushing, keep sacrificing until there's nothing left, until they're empty. Chari Moorhead calls this the survival trap. And she's here to tell us there's another way, a better way, a way that doesn't cost us our peace, our health, our joy, or our lives. She calls it sovereign leadership. And it's not about working harder, it's about leading from a place of internal authority. It's about regulating your nervous system so you're not constantly in fight or flight mode, so you're not constantly reacting to external pressure, so you're not constantly performing for a system that will never see you, will never value you, will never reward you the way you deserve. It's about reclaiming your energy, your peace, your power, and refusing to let broken systems dictate your worth. Now, let me tell you what happened in 2025, because if you think the concrete ceiling is just a metaphor, the data will prove you wrong. In 2025, Black women lost 113,000 jobs. 113,000. That's 54.7% of all female job losses, even though Black women make up just 14.1% of the female workforce. Let that sink in for a moment. Black women bore more than half of all female job losses while representing just over 1/10 of the workforce. More than half. Dr. Jamila K. Taylor, president and CEO of the Institute for Women's Policy Research, led the analysis that exposed this crisis. She and her team documented how federal layoffs and the dismantling of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives disproportionately sidelined Black women in professional sectors like healthcare, education, and public administration. Over 30% of Black women in federal roles lost their jobs, compared to just 11.6% of all women. These weren't low wage positions, these weren't entry level jobs. These were college educated professionals, women with bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, decades of experience, women who had done everything right, women who had followed the rules, women who had believed in the system, and they were still pushed out. They were still discarded. They were still told they weren't enough. Dr. Taylor's report didn't just quantify the losses, it shifted the national conversation. It forced people to see that these weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, these were breadwinners. These were mothers, daughters, sisters, community leaders. These were women who held families together, who held communities together, who held entire sectors together. And the policies that targeted them didn't just hurt individuals, they destabilized entire families, they destabilized entire communities. They sent a message that Black women are expendable. But here's what Chari Moorehead wants you to understand: this isn't just about policy. This isn't just about systems. This is about how we respond. Because when the systems fail us, and they will, we have two choices. We can keep grinding in those systems, hoping they'll change, hoping they'll see us, hoping they'll finally reward us. Or we can reclaim our sovereignty and build something new, something that honors us, something that protects us, something that values us. Let me share another story. The Reseasoning Coalition launched a series called Black Leadership a la carte, spotlighting 7 Black women leaders in the food service industry. These women were working in operations, marketing, entrepreneurship. They were driving results. They were creating efficiencies. They were reshaping entire sectors, but their contributions were invisible. They were leading informally, without recognition, without promotion, without pay equity, without the titles they deserved, because the systems they worked in didn't see them, or worse, saw them and chose to ignore them, chose to overlook them, chose to take their labor and give them nothing in return. The Reseasoning Coalition decided to change that. They amplified these women's stories. They encouraged formal recognition of informal leadership. They said, "We see you. We value you. We honor you." And what happened? These women became models for emerging Black women leaders. They showed what's possible when you claim your space, when you refuse to stay invisible, when you lead with sovereignty, even when the system refuses to acknowledge it, even when the system tries to silence you. This is what Chari Moorehead means when she talks about hidden leaders. Black women are leading everywhere: in boardrooms, in kitchens, in classrooms, in communities, in churches, in nonprofits, in startups. We are leading everywhere. But so often, that leadership goes unrecognized. And when it does, it creates a cycle, a vicious, exhausting cycle. The women keep giving, keep leading, keep carrying the load, and they get nothing in return except exhaustion, except burnout, except the expectation that they'll keep giving more. Now, let's talk about the public sector, because if you thought education and experience would protect you, think again. In 2025, the employment to population ratio for Black college educated women in the public sector fell 1.4 percentage points to 55.7%. That's the sharpest drop in 25 years. 25 years. These were women who had built entire careers in public service, women who believed in the mission, who showed up every day, who did the work with excellence, with integrity, with dedication. And they were laid off in mass buyouts and federal cuts that targeted them specifically, that erased them systematically. The Economic Policy Institute tracked these disparities in their State of Working America data library. And what they found was clear, undeniable, and devastating. The public sector, which had long been seen as a stable pathway for Black women, was no longer safe. The very systems that were supposed to provide security, that were supposed to reward hard work and loyalty, were now the systems pushing them out, pushing us out. But here's the thing, these women didn't just disappear. They didn't just give up. Many of them pivoted. They became entrepreneurs. They became advocates. They became consultants, coaches, creators. They took the skills, the experience, the resilience they had built in those systems, and they used it to create something new, something sovereign, something that couldn't be taken away by a policy shift or a budget cut or a new administration. And that's the lesson Chari Moorhead wants us to take away. Sovereign leadership isn't about waiting for the system to change. It's about changing yourself. It's about regulating your nervous system so you're not constantly reacting to external pressure. It's about leading from a place of internal authority, where your worth isn't determined by a promotion, a title, or a paycheck. It's about protecting your peace as a practice, not as a luxury, not as something you do when you finally have time, but it's something you do every single day because your life depends on it. Because here's the truth, the concrete ceiling isn't going anywhere. The systems that created it are deeply entrenched. They're designed to keep Black women out, to keep us grinding, to keep us exhausted, to keep us hoping that if we just work a little harder, we'll finally be enough. And if we keep playing by their rules, we'll keep losing. We'll keep burning out. We'll keep sacrificing our health, our joy, our families, our dreams. But what if we stopped playing by their rules? What if we reclaimed our sovereignty? What if we led from a place of internal strength, nervous system regulation, and unapologetic self prioritization? What if we stopped waiting for external validation and started validating ourselves? What if we stopped asking for permission and started claiming our space? What if we stopped hoping the system would change and started building something new? Chari Moorhead believes that's the breakthrough, and I believe her. Because the data is clear, the systems are broken, but we are not. We are powerful. We are resilient. We are brilliant. We are sovereign. And when we lead from that place, we don't just survive, we thrive, we create, we build, we transform, not just our own lives, but the lives of everyone around us. So here's my challenge to you, and I want you to really hear this. Audit one unrecognized contribution you're making today, just one. Maybe it's the way you mentor a colleague without being asked. Maybe it's the way you hold your team together during chaos. Maybe it's the way you show up for your family, your community, your faith, your friends. Whatever it is, name it, own it, and pitch it boldly this week. Don't wait for someone to notice. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the system to validate you. Claim your space, claim your sovereignty, claim your power, because the world taught us survival, but we're learning softness, we're learning rest, we're learning that strength doesn't mean grinding until there's nothing left. Strength means knowing when to say no, knowing when to protect your peace, knowing when to lead from a place of internal authority instead of external pressure, knowing when to choose yourself. Chari Moorhead is showing us the way, and it's time we follow her lead, not by working harder, not by pushing more, but by reclaiming our sovereignty, regulating our nervous systems, and leading from a place of power that no system, no policy, no concrete ceiling can ever take away. The revolution isn't out there, it's in here, it's in you, it's in your breath, your boundaries, your belief that you are enough exactly as you are. It's in your refusal to shrink, to perform, to beg for a seat at a table you can build yourself. So stop grinding, start leading, reclaim your sovereignty, shatter your concrete ceiling, and watch what happens when you finally, unapologetically, powerfully choose you. Thank you